Warning, this video may contain content that may not be suitable for children or anyone else that is easily offended. Strong language, graphic content, nudity, bad jokes, and a possible idiot, aka myself, may be featured in the following clip. Viewer discretion is advised, and is not responsible for any damages that you receive watching this video. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Zems, and welcome back to another movie review. This movie we're going to be talking about is called The Rental. It should have been called The Airbnb, but again, Airbnb is a rental, so they're not wrong. But after watching the Mr. Nightmare Airbnb video, I think it would have been pretty cool if the movie title was called Airbnb. But I mean, it was the same kind of like cliche beginning. It was like the same old, hey, we haven't hung out in so long, how about we get together and take a trip and let's go somewhere to some cabin somewhere private in this remote area that's beautiful. We can just be ourselves and have fun, you know, blah, blah, blah. So it was it might get a little bit tricky because you know I'm bad at explaining things, but it was 4 people, right? So 2 of the guys there were brothers. There was Josh and there was Charlie. So their 2 are brothers. Josh was, see, I messed up already. Josh is dating Mina. Mina is like, I guess she's like Middle Eastern or Indian, or she's something along those lines. And then the other one is a white girl. Her name is Michelle? Don't quote me on that, but I think her name is Michelle. And so they all get together and they're trying to book an Airbnb. And Mina, being Josh's girlfriend, tries to book the Airbnb and she gets declined, right? So the next guy tries to do the same thing. He was a white guy, he did it and his thing got approved. Right then and there, Mina got kind of like a little bit upset, a little bit tight. She thought it had something to do with like racism and stuff like that because her last name was Muhammad. And you know, in the beginning of the, but when they got to that part later on in the movie, you could kind of see there was like a little bit of tension between Mina and the guy that helped them rent out the place and whatnot. The weird thing about this movie was, it wasn't like your normal horror movie, because usually kind of like they run into somebody and they make like an enemy or they say something wrong to them and then it comes back biting them in the ass and the person tries to kill them and stuff like that. This was not the case. It just felt like they were just living their life. Pretty much. It was just everyday life, you know, drinking, having fun and doing whatnot, you know, drugs and all this other stuff. It was just normal. Like, I was just waiting for someone to come out and be like, okay, like, who's the enemy? Like, who are we looking for right now? But they started getting used to it. And the guy that had rented them out the house, right, was some older guy. And he said it wasn't his house, it was his brother's house. But his brother has a lot of money and that's like his second house. So he just rents it out for him to, like, you know, make money on his brother's house while his brother's away and whatnot. So yeah, they're just living in there, you know. And I don't know, for some reason, you know, like they're having fun the first night, they're drinking and all that stuff, and then his wife decides to go to bed because she wasn't feeling it. She had a long week and bad news and all this other stuff. So Michelle takes off and she goes to sleep. So now it's only Josh, Mina, and Charlie. So they're outside, they're drinking and stuff like that. Josh said he's going to the restroom because, you know, or lounge rights. Alcohol, anybody that drink alcohol, I tell you, if you drink beer or whatever you be drinking, you go to the restroom like 10, 15 times a night, bruh. Lo and behold, they left Mina and Charlie alone, and Mina and Charlie, I guess they worked together in some like little company or law firm, whatever you want to call it. And they ended up talking, and then, you know, when you drunk, you start saying how you feel and whatnot. And he's like, you know, I've been looking at you, you're a pretty cool person, I appreciate you and all this stuff. And you know, she reciprocating the same kind of like flirtation vibes. And I can just feel it coming. I'm like, come on, bro, just go ahead, just kiss already. But I don't know if it's like that for y'all, but I've been noticing a lot lately that they're putting so many cheating scenes in like every movie. I feel like they're trying to like normalize it, or I don't know if that's like, it's just like a popular thing now, and because you know marriages are failing and whatnot. But for me, I just feels like every time I watch a TV show, somebody's getting cheated on, bro. 100%. Every movie that I watched recently, it just felt like somebody's getting cheated on. So they ended up kind of like kissing and stuff in the hot tub, and then, you know, the dog Reggie. Oh, let me go back to that part. I missed out on that part, right? So this is where the whole thing comes to like, kind of like, the place, when they booked the Airbnb, the guy said no pets, right? So if somebody says no pets, they mean no pets, right? So he brings his dog. He's like a little ugly. I don't know why people like those dogs so much. I think it's a pug? No. It wasn't a pug. I don't know, it was kind of ugly like a pug, but it may have been a pug or a different type of breed of pug. Let me know down in the comment section. I'll probably go try to post a picture of him if I can find it. But yeah, anyway, by that, Reggie runs by, he breaks up the kissing and whatnot, and Mina's like, oh, you know what, maybe we should not, you know, maybe we should call it a night, we shouldn't do this and stuff. So they both leave and they split. She goes to take a shower, and lo and behold, Charlie comes in there, they hook up, right? So he ends up smashing his little brother's girl, which is Josh. He ends up smashing his girl. And then, you know, they wake up the next morning, morning, and then you can just tell there's like a little vibe of something happened. And then Mina goes and take another shower in the morning, and then she notices there's a camera on the shower head. It's like a little flat shower head, and then you can see like the little, you know, little holes or whatever in the shower head, and it's like this one hole that has a little red little recording thing on it, like somebody's like they're being watched. And she's like, oh man, and you know, she thinks it's the old guy, and then Charlie and her think it's the old guy because her and the old guy have problems, and the old guy was just nonchalant. To me, I didn't get any red flags from the old guy. He was just old, he didn't care. You know, he was just living life, like he was just him. He was just like, I'm doing this for the money, I don't really care about what's going on. So they're like, oh, it's him and stuff like that. And he's like, I'm calling the police. And you're like, no, you can't call the police because they got the footage of us having sex. I don't know about y'all, but I would have just went ahead and called the police. I mean, you know what y'all did was wrong, and it's gonna come to light anyway. And if you're being watched, I feel like that could have just ended the whole movie right then and there. I don't know why every time people are like, oh, we're gonna call the police. They're like, no, don't call the police. Bro, just call the police. You know what I'm saying? Like, they probably won't even release the footage because they might have other footage of other people that have been watched beforehand, you know what I'm saying? They can use that as evidence, and even if it is, then so be it. You should never cheat in the first place, right? So after that, they said they're gonna keep it a secret. Let's just keep it between them because they don't wanna ruin their relationships. And then Michelle, she didn't know. So Michelle, Charlie's wife, did not know all that was going on. So she tried to get in the hot tub like they did, but the hot tub was broken. So she called the dude because the dude was like the handyman and the owner of the Airbnb. So he came out and he was trying to fix the hot tub and stuff. And then Mina like kind of pulled him to the side, like, I want to show you something. And he's like, what is that? And he's like, he looks dead ass and like, I don't know what that is. Like, what are you trying to do, right? She's like, it is you, blah, blah, I want to call the police. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm going to call the police for you. So he pulls out his phone and she starts fighting with him and stuff to not call the police because again, she doesn't want to get caught up and ruin a relationship with Josh and ruin the marriage of Charlie and Michelle. So they fighting and stuff, and then Josh is walking by a window and he sees them fighting, so he thinks that the dude is hurting her, and he goes in and fighting her, and then he ends up falling down in the bathtub, hitting his head on the sink. I guess he hit his temple or something, or he fell too hard. He's an old dude, so his bones and stuff probably frail. He probably hit his brain, ruptured something, and died. And before that, he pressed the dude like, hey, did you take my dog? And the guy's like, dog, like, why would I take your dog? You shouldn't even be having a dog here in the first place. Like, how are you gonna get, I understood that, like, how are you gonna get mad at somebody and accuse somebody of taking something that you shouldn't have had here in the first place? You know what I'm saying? That's number one. Like, you're disrespecting the agreement, you're disrespecting his house, you're just disrespecting your overall stay at the home. That passed, and then here it come, like, oh, let's call the police. Michelle's the only one thinking smart. Let's call the police, let's not call the police, blah, blah, blah. So they finally decide to come clean that they were being recorded and all this stuff. So they come up with a plan to kind of get rid of the dude's body, because the dude came and beforehand he said he was at home drinking, so he had some alcohol in his system. So they tried to like get rid of his body and stuff like that. You know, they're trying to get rid of the body. Michelle's like, she don't want no part of it. And you know, you guys do what you want to do. I don't want to have no part of it. I don't want to be accomplice to murder and whatnot. You know, they left her in the house while the other three went to go dispose of the body, because technically Josh would go to jail for killing them, and Charlie didn't want his brother to go to jail for that. So Michelle's just sitting at home in the bed, right? So I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, she started hearing noises like water running or something like that. I'm like, oh shit, the killer is actually in the house. Because if they just killed the old man, I mean the actual killer is in the home. So she's like going around, she goes upstairs, and the video is playing of Mina smashing Charlie, which is her husband. So she's like, oh my God, you know, she puts her hand on her mouth. She's like super duper shocked. And then she decides to get in the car and drive off. So she's driving off, and she's like, and Charlie sees the car leaving. He's like, wait, where are you going? So I think she stopped the car and she was like, I seen you in your video with Mina, blah, blah, blah. And then she rolled up the window and drove off. She didn't make it far because somebody put a spike strip down the road. And once they hit that spike strip, bruh, everything started going downhill, bruh. Michelle got attacked, and then she went to the car. She texted like, oh, I'm scared, and blah, blah, blah. And then Charlie went over there to try to help her, but he got clapped. And then Josh was in the house with Mina. The dude ended up killing Josh. He starts chasing Mina, and Mina fell in the water. So I don't even know if it's like, did she get away? Did she fall on the rocks? Did she die? Like, I don't even know. I don't remember. That's the only part I think is kind of like fuzzy to me right now. Even though I seen it like 2 days ago. I think they're just trying to say she died or whatever it was, or maybe he did kill her. I forgot. After he just killed everybody, Reggie ended up showing back up because Reggie had got lost somewhere in the movie. Reggie's not important. I'm just letting you guys know how it's just kind of like info. Reggie's just like that one character that just goes in and out of the frame, like, you know what I'm saying? It's just him, he's just being a dog. So the last part is like the killer, right? And it was the creepiest part for me throughout the whole movie, because he just started going through all these places of taking out wires and microphones and tape recorders. wireless cameras, Bluetooth, bro, everything. He just pulling stuff out of all this house, bro. He's cleaning the house and whatnot. After that, it kind of like fast forwards to him, and they just showing this dude. You can't see his face. You can tell he's like a white guy. He's like 5'8", you know, really, really smart, tech savvy type dude. So what his thing was, he was going around and he would book Airbnbs before other people, and then he would implant cameras around this Airbnb. He would make keys. He would make anything that would give him access to the building, garages, keys, or buttons, or that kind of stuff. And then at the end, it starts showing different families coming in, wife, husband, kids, boyfriend, girlfriends, best friend, buddies, you know, people having sex. It was just crazy just looking at it, and it was just showing like different houses, like different types of places that he was installing cameras and stuff, and that's what he was. He was just an Airbnb serial killer. I like the way that it ended only because we're so used to seeing who the killer was. It was kind of like a different take on a killer. So it just kind of leaves you that suspicion, like, will it be the rental too? Will the killer get caught? Like, you know, it was crazy to think about. And it kind of like makes you not even want to travel. I hate seeing movies like that make you not want to go out and have fun. Like, I remember I was like, I want to travel all the time. And then I seen the movie Hostel, and I was like, damn, I don't even want to travel no more. Like, if anybody's seen that movie, you'll see America's was getting sold for top dollar, bro. We were like the most expensive thing on the list, and then it was like UK, then it was like all this other stuff, but American was like on the top of the list, and I see why. But man, I really encourage you guys to go see that movie for yourself. I kind of gave you like a little taste of what it was, but you just have to see it. It's not really a word that I can explain to it, because it wasn't scary, it wasn't creepy, but I guess you could say it was unsettling, just to know that you never know when you're being watched, because it was cameras in places that you would never seem to look or think about looking if you're in a hotel or if you're in an Airbnb. Like, if you don't know the house that well, how do you know which spots to check for cameras? How do you know what are blind spots? How do you know where you're safe at? Like, I don't know. But man, if you guys enjoyed this, man, make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I told you guys I was gonna post it. It wasn't gonna be nothing too long, nothing too complicated. And plus, you guys like when I tell like my little reactions or how I felt about the movie. I give it like an 8 out of 10. It wasn't bad. It wasn't boring, but it keeps you entertained too. Like, I'll say that. It felt like it was a bunch of nothing. Have you ever watched something, it's like, you don't know why you're watching it, but it's kind of like keeping you amused at the same time? Like, that's what I felt. And I feel like they kind of like forced the thought of like, it's the old man, it's the old man. They kept trying to pull you in to think it was the old man, but me, I'm good at getting vibes from people, and it's just like, that whole time, I didn't feel like he knew anything. I didn't feel like he was doing anything wrong. I feel like they was disrespecting him more than he was disrespecting them. That's the way I felt. Like, if you guys watch that movie, you let me know what you think. I just felt like the whole time they were attacking this guy and he wasn't really much doing anything to them. But yeah, man, but again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.